Tēnā tātou katoa. Good evening. 6 weeks after the country voted, incoming Prime Minister Christopher Luxon's announced he's finally got policy deals across the line with his two coalition partners.
It's still not the end of the road. They now need to shuffle ministerial positions. But Luxon says they are on the home stretch. Here's political editor Jenna Lynch.
It's the negotiations that never end. Yes, they go on and on, my friend. But overnight, a breakthrough.
We've achieved, I think, a significant milestone overnight, and that is that we have actually closed out and agreed our policy programs with both ACT and also with New Zealand First.
Sound the coalition klaxon, Christopher Luxon heralding a deal is nigh.
So I won't give you a time frame, but I can just tell you it just got a lot simpler.
Not that a grinning Winston Peters would verify that as he arrived for talks with the Nats.
You're making an assumption.
Clearly surprised by Luxon's declaration, unwilling to confirm it until he'd met the man himself.
Because I should talk to somebody else before I talk to you guys, so that everybody's on the same page.
Newshub understands a final policy sticking point was ACT and New Zealand First want to narrow the scope of the treaty's interpretation in legislation and the courts. They had faced a brick wall from National on the matter, but it's understood last night it was sorted. Luxon wouldn't detail who conceded on it.
Everyone has to make trade-offs along the way.
New Zealand First and ACT negotiated with National separately, David Seymour revealing they're working toward a three-way coalition deal.
There's been attempts to negotiate a three-party coalition, and they may well come to fruition.
Which means everyone needs to be on the same page. New Zealand First and ACT need to sign off on each other's deals, so up rolled Winston Peters to the ACT offices today.
Any news?
And an hour later rolled out.
Mr Peters, what are you working on with ACT?
We're working on getting a coalition together.
The pair keeping their promise to keep it tight.
Have you seen New Zealand First deal yet?
Look, I can't say exactly what we've seen or not seen from other parties.
But Luxon says he's sent them the docs.
We shared that last night, and they have also been, in fairness, talking throughout the course of the last week, one-on-one.
It's now up to them to sort out any concerns.
And whatever concerns you've got to compromise. You've got to get a government form and get on the way, and we're not too far from being there.
Now the talks move to the ultimate game of musical chairs, ministerial roles.
What role would you want?
You want me to answer that question?
Yes, please.
I've always said that policies for people are more important than positions for politicians.
We're now in that phase which is agreeing our positions, and when you're in that phase, that we're on the home stretch.
Can we expect a deal this week, Mr Peters?
Oh dear.
Crawling to the home stretch, but hoping to sprint across the finish line.
Well, Jenna's with us now. Kia ora, Jenna. We've been told we're close more than a few times now, so how close are we?
This milestone that Christopher Luxon is celebrating is worth celebrating, even though it looks like he did blindside both ACT and New Zealand First by making that public when he has placed a cone of secrecy around the negotiations. But yes, we are now at a point where, as Winston Peters put it, they are just cross-checking. ACT and New Zealand First have been sitting on each other's deals for less than 24 hours. They'll be going through those with a fine-tooth comb to see what the other party has got and make sure there's nothing in there that's going to cause them a problem in the future. No one can really put a time frame on that, but all parties seem optimistic that they can get a government formed this week. Some people are pointing to Wednesday, though. The contest for positions should not be understated. Winston Peters has served as the Deputy Prime Minister in both of the coalition governments that he has formed. David Seymour's talked a big game about not being about the baubles of office, but his party is bigger than New Zealand First, so could lay a legitimate claim to it. Winston Peters perhaps a nose in front on the positions front because he met in person with Christopher Luxon today, whereas ACT was just over the phone. But let the race for Deputy Prime Minister and all of the other ministerial positions begin. Let's just hope it doesn't take another 3 weeks.
Political editor Jenna Lynch. Tēnā koe.